Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I just wanted to show some footage off. I decided to try a little bit of a different team composition than my last one. I wanted to use Electivire as a safe swap. Now, Electivire has not really been talked about too much in Premier Cup. On the Premier Cup rankings list on PvPoke, I believe Electivire ranks 15th, and I'm surprised that it hasn't seen more usage because in the One Shield, Electivire actually beats Togekiss, Dragonite, and Metagross, and not many Pokemon can really say that for themselves. It's pretty impressive. So I decided to go try running a team where I basically run a variation of my old team with Machamp as the lead, with running close combat still. But instead of having Metagross as my safe swap, I decided to have Metagross be my closer. So I decided to put Earthquake back on it instead of Psychic, and then have Electivire as my safe swap, running Wild Charge and Ice Punch. Now, interesting things to note: it does play similarly to Magnezone, but a little bit squishier due to the fact that it's pure electric type rather than getting the steel resistances. A couple things that are different though: Thundershock naturally does less damage than Spark in terms of a fast move, but it does generate energy quicker. So one thing you'll notice is in order to build back-to-back wild charges on Magnezone, you have to throw 12 Sparks, because Spark generates 8 energy per turn, and then 8 times 12 is 96. You need 90 energy for wild charge, for double wild charges. But Thundershock generates 9 energy per attack, so it only takes 5 to get to each wild charge. You get to exactly 90 energy in 10, so you actually get to you get to back-to-back wild charges, 2 fast attacks sooner than Magnezone does. And not to mention, Electivire has a slightly higher attack stat than Magnezone, so wild charge hits a little harder as well. Now, Ice Punch is not that strong of a move, but it's very useful against Dragonite, since Dragonite's has a double weakness to Ice. So you'll find that Ice Punch with combined with Electivire's high attack stat is very spammy, first of all, and also does like probably close to 80% of Dragonite's health. So that being said, let's go check out some videos with some footage. Now these are just randomly pulled. I just pulled 2 sets from. I did an entire 6 sets of running this team on stream last week, and I just pulled just 2 random sets out. So we'll go commentate and go play along with them. I remember looking quickly at these sets and noticed we got a good mix of bad leads and good leads, so there's plenty to talk about. And some misplays as well, which we'll go over. But anyway, let's go see how this goes. So, very first match, we're playing against Bachiku, and they're going to lead with Togekiss, which naturally is bad for a Machamp lead. So we're going to swap right away into our safe swap of Electivire. We get a few Thundershocks off before they swap out. Now you'll see Electivire is very glass cannony. So you'll see that my health is going down very quickly from these Dragon Breaths, but we're able to get to 2 Ice Punches very quickly. We get both shields from Dragonite, and we almost get to another Ice Punch. Unfortunately, we missed one fast move, so we didn't get it quite in time. But I decided to bring in Machamp again because Machamp does not have a good matchup against Togekiss at all. Unfortunately, Dragonite has a lot of energy here. We have to shield one of these Dragon Claws to ensure that we're able to get to a Rock Slide, but we do get to this Rock Slide. We throw it, and the Thundershock damage combined with the Rock Slide is almost enough to take it out. I end up bringing in Metagross to just quick farm down the end, and then this trainer has a Garchomp in the back, which is very bad. They did not get to an Earthquake, so we know there's going to be a Sand Tomb. This is pretty tricky. The good thing is they have no shields left. Meteor Mash does hit a bunch. We're going to have to shield this time because we are debuffed. And we're still not quite... we're still not quite at our switch timer, but they make a fatal mistake by bringing their Togekiss in. I guess they were under the impression that they'd be able to farm us down. So at this point, because of that misplay, we were actually able to win that there, because we were able to farm up enough energy off Togekiss to take out Togekiss, and then by the time they brought Garchomp back in, Togekiss is out of the way, which is the biggest problem for our Machamp. So our Machamp we were able to bring back in to counter Garchomp down. They would have had to throw multiple charge moves that wouldn't be able to farm us down, both of our Pokemon. So unfortunately, because of our opponent's misplay, or I guess fortunately for us, unfortunately for them, they could have easily just stayed in with Garchomp and then thrown another Sand Tomb and beaten us to us getting to another Meteor Mash, and then they could have easily won with Togekiss versus Machamp. But because of misplay of our opponent, we ended up fortunately winning that one. Now I do want to show what's the next clip right here. Our next battle. The queue times are long, so I'm trying to do the best to cut out the queue times. But we're going to play against this trainer. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Not even going to bother trying to say it. They lead Garchomp, which is a... I don't like teams with Garchomp because it's bad against our back line, since our back 2 are weak to ground. But if we're going to fight a Garchomp, it's good to have one in the lead. We have to call whether there's an Outrage or Sand Tomb. We do correctly shield an Outrage, so now this enables us to... if we land this close combat, just farm down. They can't get to another Outrage. And they end up swapping out. They realize that they won't be able to. It'll be just free farm right there. So we throw close combat here on their Snorlax. Then we bring in Metagross because right now they're switch locked with their Snorlax. And Electivire, it is spammy, but it's also very squishy. Unfortunately, we no shield there, expecting hopefully a Body Slam or maybe a superpower, but they end up getting an Earthquake off. We hit a lot of lag right here. Luckily, Metagross survives the Earthquake because of Metagross is a beast and Snorlax is a little bit on the weaker end in terms of attack power. I decided to bring in Electivire to go for a very large farm here. Questionable move, but I got a lot of energy, and then I bring Machamp back in to try to counter Snorlax down. Snorlax does get a Body Slam off, and then I bring Garchomp back in, which we're able to counter down before he gets to an attack. So good for us right there. Now they decide to bring in Magnezone. Because they brought in Garchomp, we're able to get to a close combat right here, which is going to force their last shield. And we're able to counter them down here. Now we're in a bit of a tricky situation. We have 2 Wild Charges, but if they CMP Tidus here, they're going to be able to throw a Wild Charge that is debuffed. Unfortunately, they did not throw, unfortunately for them. So we're able to get back-to-back Wild Charges here, which ends up taking out Magnezone, and then Snorlax is just a Thundershock away from being killed. So we ended up getting that win again, very, very luckily. So on to the next battle. Oh, actually, here we go. Next one's almost immediate. Yeah, so we're going to play against this trainer, Elf223TA. And they lead a fighter as well, Conkeldurr. Now, Conkeldurr gets to Dynamic Punch a turn after we get to close combat, so we're going to try to throw close combat right away and hopefully get this to go through. If they get to go through, then great. If not, we have to safe swap. So we get that to land, which is amazing. They get to their Dynamic Punch. We're just going to shield this and farm it down. We are going to preserve our Machamp, though, because we might need it for the back. So we're going to go, they brought in Metagross, we're going to throw a close combat right here, and then we're going to bail. We'll see if we get this to land. We do not, but we're going to go bring in Electivire now, because Electivire charges energy so quickly. We're going to have to shield this Meteor Mash just because of how squishy Electivire is. And actually, it's an Earthquake, so even better, because I would have definitely KO'd. Meteor Mash would have gotten close to KOing as well. They could have Meteor Mash and then farmed down. But they bring Snorlax back in, or they bring Snorlax in after this. We're going to throw double Wild Charges. They do shield the second one. And because we're double debuffed right now, this Body Slam is just going to destroy us. So we're going to go at this point. I'm deciding what to do. Waiting for my switch clock to run out a little bit. We're deciding to bring in Metagross. Now, here's where I make a fatal mistake. I bring in Machamp, which is awesome. I try to get a sack swap there before they get to an Earthquake, a potential Earthquake. And then I think I can just farm them down from this range. And I wanted to farm them down, but unfortunately, when they have 1 hit left, they get to an Earthquake. I really wanted to farm them down so I could just end up getting to an Earthquake to get the victory there on their Metagross, but unbeknownst to me, or I guess something I forgot, they bailed on the Metagross as soon as they threw an Earthquake before, so they were very, very, very far away from getting to a Meteor Mash. It would have taken them at least 6 or 7 bullet punches, depending on how much they overfarmed, which I don't think they overfarmed very much before. So we'd have definitely been able to get to an Earthquake before they could get to a charge move, so I did not need to farm that all the way down. I could have easily thrown a Meteor Mash earlier and then built up to an Earthquake before they got to a Meteor Mash. So misplay on our part, but that's part of the game sometimes. Definitely, everyone makes mistakes. The best players are the ones that make less than others or fewer than others. But anyway, here's another battle right here. We're 2-1 in this set right now. They lead Togekiss, another terrible lead for us. So we're going to safe swap into Electivire. They bring in Snorlax almost immediately. We get like 1 Thundershock in, but they did let a Charm go through, which did a bunch of damage. We're going to let this Body Slam go through because we're not debuffed yet. And then we're just going to try to throw back-to-back Wild Charges here. Hopefully to at least grab some shields. They are going to have to shield the second one, otherwise we'll win switch because they're low enough that this would KO. So they do shield that, and then they lick us down. We can't get to another charge move. So at this point, we're going to go bring Machamp back in. They do get to a charge move. I'm contemplating whether to shield it. I decide not to. They throw an Outrage, which is surprising because if they got to an Outrage there, they could have gotten to 2 Body Slams, and 2 Body Slams would do more damage than the 1 Outrage. So kind of strange unless they're not running Body Slam. But they are because we saw before they used one. And then anyway, we swap into Metagross, and they reveal that they have an Excadrill in the back, which is very, very bad for our team. We actually have a little bit of play here. We have 2 shields left. They have no shields. I have to try to undercharge this to leave enough room for us to farm up to a Rock Slide on this Excadrill to throw out the Togekiss immediately. Unfortunately, I miscalculate that I'm 1 counter short of a Rock Slide, and then the Togekiss counters us down. If I left a little more HP on the Excadrill, I could have countered it 1 more time. They would have hit me with 1 more Mud Slap, but I think I would have survived, and then I could have thrown a Rock Slide instantly on the Togekiss. So that was an extremely close match. that I tried to make a really heads-up play for on the end, but unfortunately miscalculated it just a little bit. But that's the game, you know? You live and you learn. Next battle is going to be right here. Now, this is a trainer that I've actually fought very, many, many times. I've been told in my chat this is an Asian trainer, and they lead Garchomp. Very bad for our team. I actually get to the close combat first, and then I have to make the decision again whether or not this is an Outrage or a Sand Tomb. I'm going to bank that it's a Sand Tomb. Unfortunately, it's Outrage, so they do KO me right there. And they actually went one shot beyond that Outrage, so they're actually close to a Sand Tomb. They get to a Sand Tomb, we know there's going to be a Sand Tomb, so we decide not to shield it. We're going to farm this Garchomp all the way down if they let us. And we do. Even shields here. They bring in a Snorlax. And if I remember correctly from playing against this trainer, sometimes they run Superpower on their Snorlax, sometimes they run Skull Bash. I'm not sure what they're running this time. But we are just going to let this go. It is Superpower. And then they bring in their Metagross. Now, this is not the worst matchup. We are definitely going to get some shields out of this. Or we're going to just KO it. So what my opponent does here, which is very smart, is they let me just throw those, and they save their shields for Snorlax. And they realize at this point, I am not going to get to 3 charge moves. So I need to try to bullet punch this Snorlax down. We have shields, they're throwing body slams. But at this point, I think my opponent recognizes that they're able to lick me down faster than I can bullet punch them down. So our only hope at this point is to try to bullet punch them down. But unfortunately, that lick damage really adds up. They're able to win just by a little bit at the end. But in that set, we are able to go 2 and 3. Our rating drops a little bit from 3088 to 3078. Not too bad. Not too big of a loss. We're going to go to the next battle, which is not for a few more minutes here. So I'll skip ahead. Okay, Sir Lolas 90. Let's see what this trainer's running. They bring in a Metagross to the lead. For anyone that's watched my last video, you know how I like to play these Metagross leads. I build up to a close combat throw right away, which is 1 turn before they get to Meteor Mash. Most of the time they let it go through, anticipating it just be a cross chop. And then they get to a Meteor Mash, we just shield it and we farm down, which gives us 1 counter short of having a Rock Slide. They actually swap out right away to a Gyarados, and now they're switch locked with a Pokemon that's double weak to Electric. So we're going to throw this Rock Slide, grab a shield, and then we're going to bring an Electivire. Now, because Electivire is so squishy, we still have to go shield up this Crunch in order for our Electivire to have some sort of utility. Now, unfortunately for us, we overfarmed on the Wild Charge. We should have just thrown right away. But because we did that, they actually CMP tied us with their second Crunch, and we're not able to get off our second Wild Charge. So very unfortunate for us. I decide here, kind of controversial play here because Crunch hurts a lot, but I want to try to farm this Gyarados all the way down to generate a lot of energy. Because Metagross with a ton of energy and shields down on my opponent's side is very dangerous. I anticipate they're going to be throwing a Crunch again soon, so I bring Machamp back in so that they'll have to throw energy because otherwise Machamp will counter them down. I'm able to get the full farm down, about 100 energy, and then their final Pokemon is, or no, they bring in the Metagross again. We throw Meteor Mash, and their final Pokemon is Magnezone. We're able to get to the Earthquake, and Magnezone is double weak to ground, so this is going to one-shot it. So luckily, we were able to pull that one off as well. Our opponent there probably should have brought in Magnezone first, and then try to sack swap their... It would have been very, very tricky either way, but they should have tried to get me to throw Earthquake on Metagross, because then they might be able to get to a Mirror Shot before I can get to a second Earthquake to KO the Magnezone. Either way, very, very tricky situation there for my opponent, and luckily we did not misplay that there. Next battle, battling against Trexler. I've played against Trexler quite a few times here. They're going to bring in Magnezone, perfect lead for us, weak to fighting. They're going to swap out right away to Dragonite. Because we got 1 counter in, we're actually able to get this Rock Slide off before the Dragonite gets to Dragon Claw. We're actually going to stay in for a little bit. And then we were able to... I don't know why I did this. I tried to catch a Dragon Claw on Electivire, but Electivire I need to shield anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to let the second one go through, because you know it's just going to be a Dragon Claw. But we're going to go see how much this Ice Punch does. I throw this Ice Punch, and they shield it. And then they throw another Dragon Claw. We're just going to let this go. Maybe we'll get to see how much Ice Punch does someday. But at this point, they have no shields, which is good for us. We're close to a Rock Slide, so we're going to go build up to the Rock Slide and throw that. And then what do they have for us? They bring in Togekiss. We're going to bring in Metagross. We farm a bunch of energy on this Togekiss, and we're going to just farm it all the way down. They bring in a Magnezone, and then they just quit. I guess their plan was to hope that we throw a Meteor Mash and then catch the Meteor Mash on Magnezone, but because we had the shield, I was just going to farm the Togekiss all the way down to get up to 100 energy, and then hopefully beat whatever's in the back. And because I had a Magnezone in the back, they realized that we realized that, so they just quit at that point because they didn't catch a Meteor Mash. So, a good game. We'll go. We have a few more of these battles to show off. I believe the second set goes much better than the first one did, since we only went 2 and 3 in the first set. But we're going to play against Kesarn. And what do they got for us? They bring in a Metagross. As you guys saw just from 2 battles ago, you know how I like to play these Metagross leads. And this works such a high percentage of the time. Maybe a little bit less frequently now that my old team's a little bit more well-known. But we're still able to get that close combat through. And in case you run against my team and you see them leading a champ and they throw on 7, you could try to catch it. You know, have them throw close combat on something else, because almost always, if they're waiting until 7 to throw, it's going to be close combat. Anyway, they switch into Snorlax. Or, yeah, they bring in Snorlax next. We throw a close combat, grab a shield. They bring in Magnezone. Electivire versus Magnezone. Electivire has a lead, especially with an energy advantage. Unfortunately, I decided to just let this go. I'm not quite sure why I did that. Maybe I wasn't sure that it was going to KO us. But anyway, we're able to get a big farm down with Machamp right there. They bring Snorlax back in. I decide to shield because I'm so close to a close combat, so I might as well grab one of their shields. And then I'm going to bring Metagross back in and try to Meteor Mash them. And they let us get to it. I don't know if they were building up to 2 superpowers. I feel like if they were building up to an Earthquake, they would have gotten to it. But we build up to that, and then we're able to just bullet punch them down. Even if they were able to throw a charge move at that point, Machamp still had enough health to probably counter Snorlax down. So I guess they were trying to build up to 2 superpowers. We were able to get all the way up to a Meteor Mash plus like 3 additional bullet punches, which would have been 11. So they would have been able to get, they would have definitely been able to get over 65 energy. So not quite sure. They must have been trying to build to 2 superpowers, or maybe they're just conceding the match at that point. But anyway, a couple more matches left here. Oh yeah, Z Camilla X. I've also played against this trainer several times. But anyway, they're going to bring in Togekiss, which, as you know, is bad for my team. So we safe swap to Electivire. They build up a bunch of energy and then bring in Swamperts. Now, we do have to shield this. Now, even though Ice Punch is neutral and Wild Charge is resisted, Wild Charge is just such a good move that it does more damage. It does like 35% compared to Ice Punch doing like 20-something percent, like 27% maybe. So we're going to throw Wild Charges here. They're going to try to farm us all the way down. Unfortunately, they do. So we got to go bring in something that's going to tank a Hydro Cannon. So I decided at this point, we'll go bring Machamp in, we'll tank a Hydro Cannon, and then hopefully counter them down before they get to a second one. And we do. And then they bring that Togekiss back in. We're going to bring in Metagross, and then they have Snorlax with a shield advantage over us, so this is very bad for us. Let's see if we can pull this off. We grab a shield with the first one right here. I decided to just let this go. It's a Skull Bash. If I shielded that, that might have helped. We might have been able to win this. We throw another one there, and then we're going to try to counter them down. We're going to shield right here. They have a shield still, though, so this is just not going to work. The only play would have been for them somehow to shield our second Meteor Mash on the Snorlax, and then somehow let us counter them down to have 2 Rock Slides ready for Togekiss. So yeah, that was not going to happen at that point. But we made it a valiant effort. And then last match of this set, I believe we're 3-1 in this set currently. Crazy One Arms. So they bring in Metagross, as you guys saw 2 other times in this video already, and probably a dozen times in the other video. You know how we like to play this. We throw close combat. We are able to get it through. We're going to go shield their Meteor Mash here and then farm them down unless they decide to switch. But yeah, we farm them down. They bring in a Dragonite. We're going to throw a Rock Slide. And then we're going to do our swap into Electivire. We want to preserve Machamp in these just in case they have something that's weak to fighting in the back. We're going to go throw an Ice Punch now. Let's see if we get it through. There you go. That shows you how much Ice Punch does. It does, so probably closer to 70% than 80%, but quite a bit of damage. And then they're actually going to bring in Snorlax. They time a perfect swap, so we end up throwing an Ice Punch into Snorlax, which does barely any damage. We are able to get a Wild Charge off, though. and it does hit for a pretty decent chunk. And then here, I get to Ice Punch on the same turn that I get to Wild Charge. We grab a shield anyway, but if they no shielded that and that didn't kill them, that would have been devastating for us because we threw the weaker charge move. They body slam our Machamp. At this point, we got to go just try to farm him down with Metagross here. They let us farm him all the way down, and then we have this match. Yeah, they just have to quit there. They would not have been able to beat us. But there you go, guys. We went 4-1 in that second set, 2-3 in the first set. So overall, 6-10 out of those two sets. Overall, I don't think this team's quite as strong as my other team because I think that Electivire is too glassy. But I did want to go just show how it could be a pretty valuable safe swap. And it does still serve the same purpose. Like, it only really gets hardwalled by stuff with Mud Slap, which is what you want to draw out if you want to run this line so that Metagross can go crazy in the back. Otherwise, everything else you seem to have pretty decent play against. We get a Rufflet right there, and we claim our rank rewards back up into the 3100s, 3114. So overall, that was a that was the video, guys. I hope you enjoy. I hope this encourages you guys to start running Electivire. We might not now because now all the leagues are back open again. Not that many people are going to be playing Premier Cup. I know a lot of people are going back to Great League. I've been bouncing back and forth, trying a few teams. I've tanked my rating quite a bit. I'm not quite in the 3100s, still over 3,000. But I just want to go try a bunch of other teams and hopefully get some cool, spicy teams to make videos about. I'm working on maybe a double steel team for Great League that might be viable, but I need to practice it and learn the matchups a little bit more. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't, like, comment, subscribe anyway. It's good for the YouTube algorithm. But anyway, follow me on Twitch if you aren't already. I'll put a link down in the description. And that's pretty much it. Good luck with your battles.